So just like everyone else, I watched this Framing Britney Spears show or documentary. And I was actually kind of surprised that the New York Times was interested in this. I just thought that all of the stuff I was hearing about, that her dad was really controlling and that she was in this conservatorship that she shouldn't have been in, I thought it was just conspiracy theories. I think that none of us know her in real life, obviously, but like, how long ago was it now? Like a decade ago, when she was like publicly kind of losing it and shaving her head and hitting cars with umbrellas. You kind of got the feeling that she probably needed some help, but I guess it's gone on for a really long time, and apparently it's just there's not conspiracy theories. There's a lot to it that I didn't know about, because to be honest, I mean, like when she first came out, I was like elementary school going into middle school, and I was a fan of hers when I was a little kid, but she's not a singer that I've really grown with, and so I haven't listened to any of her music probably since I was 18 years old, and I'm 34 now, so I haven't really kept up with her, although I do follow her on Instagram. Her videos that she uploads, which a lot of people theorize that she doesn't really have any control over what gets uploaded. People have been kind of questioning if it's her in the videos, but the comments are interesting, and people are actually just really concerned about her and the bizarreness of it all. But I've gotten some laughs about it, but I guess at this point it's kind of beyond being amused by it. So the Free Britney movement is a movement to end her conservatorship that people are really confused at why it's still going on. It's been going on for a really long time, and even through her Las Vegas residency. And people wonder, if you are with it enough to perform like she did, why does she still need the conservatorship? And they're like, looking in the documentary, there are people that are really, really invested in this. And personally, I can't really get that invested in celebrities. I mean, these are people that I'm never gonna meet. I don't have a lot of feeling about things like that, but there are people that definitely get very invested in celebrities' lives. And you see some of those on the documentary. It starts out with fans with posters protesting her conservatorship, and they talk a little bit about what she's meant to their lives, whether her music or her personality has gotten people through dark times. A lot of people grew up with her, and like me, but unlike me, have continued to be big fans of hers. They interviewed a woman named Felicia, which I recall back when Britney was first starting out. You saw her around. She was in, like, what was it, like VH1 Behind the Music kind of things, those type of shows that were on at that time that gave you a behind the scenes look into a celebrity's life. I thought that she was a family member, but you learn a little bit more about how she got involved in working with Britney Spears. But you see inside her house, and it's this crazy shrine to Britney Spears' career. I mean, I know that she was very involved, and she was almost like a handler or an assistant, and she was basically just a supervisor or chaperone to be around when Britney was performing and just traveling around and stuff, keeping an eye on her. But even so, the amount of Britney memorabilia in her house is shocking. So she says that, Felicia, she says that the reason why she agreed to do this interview for the documentary is so that people can remember why they love her. When she first came out, she was the biggest star that anybody had ever seen. And now things are a little bit different. And then the documentary goes on where you hear from other people in the industry that worked with her, and they really talk about how in the beginning she seemed to be really in control of her life and her career. And even when you go back and see interviews that she had done and just the way that she spoke a lot differently. She sounded, for lack of a better word, normal. She didn't have this babyish voice. She just seemed more there, and just that she could form thoughts easier, that she could communicate easier, and just didn't seem like she was out of it or being controlled. She just seemed more like an independent person. When you hear about her dad, Jamie, you hear about the fact that he has a history with alcohol and that he wasn't around very much. You didn't see him very much until he became conservator. In which case, then he started to control everything. But he apparently, prior to controlling Britney and her estate, he tried to be a cook and he worked in construction. And then the documentary continues on about early stories about Britney and things that she used to do when she was newly famous. She went home for Christmas and got $10,000 in $100 bills and went around town and gave them out to people. They even had paparazzi that they interviewed to discuss her early relationship with them and then kind of how it devolved. And they actually got the paparazzi who, after she shaved her head, when he kind of prompted her, she went after and beat his car with an umbrella. So after she had her kids with Kevin Federline, she was under a lot of scrutiny. There was the picture and video of her driving with her kid in her lap, and apparently, I guess at some point she had said that when she was a kid that her dad or her mom had done that with her. And then they gotten video of her almost accidentally dropping her kid. So now the focus, the intense spotlight and scrutiny wasn't just on her, but it was on her and how she was mothering and the children themselves. So, and then after, I think it was not long after she had her second kid, she got divorced from Kevin Federline. Remember they had this short-lived reality TV show, I think it was just kind of based around their whirlwind marriage and kind of their honeymoon. But after this divorce and having her second kid, she and Federline went through a custody battle, as most people do when they get split up. And her, her frame of mind was kind of called into question, and I think that he had gotten majority custody of the kids, and so she had to go visit. And then there's a story where she was visiting her children and she didn't want to leave, and then she wound up having to be taken out on a stretcher and into an ambulance because she lost her shit. And honestly, if I had gotten divorced and someone was trying to keep me from my kid, I probably, if we're honest with ourselves as mothers, would we not also have a breakdown? I would, I'm sure. And one thing that they brought up in the documentary was they speculated that the way that she acted after having her second kid and going through the divorce and the custody battle, that a lot of her behavior was influenced by postpartum depression. And I remember at the time, I don't think I heard anybody talk about that. And I think postpartum anxiety and depression, and I want to do a separate video on my experience. My kid's a year and a half now, and I do at some point before she gets much older want to do, before it just becomes completely irrelevant in my life, do a video on that, because I so had a really hard time with postpartum anxiety and depression. It's very real, and people talk about it, and it's not. When I was getting close to giving birth, my doctor kind of touched base with me about it. And then when you go in for, is it your 6-week postpartum checkup with your doctor, they give you this questionnaire and it asks you about things like that. And I almost, I was honest with her and told her that I was feeling like I was having issues with the postpartum anxiety and depression, but that I was handling it on my own. Anyway, I will talk about that in another video, but I don't remember anybody talking about this when she was going through these particular issues. And if she was going through that and was being tortured by the media and having her kids being taken away from her, honestly, like, I could cry thinking about that. That is so sad for a human being to go through, and I just hope that somebody was helping her through that and somebody recognized maybe that was what she was going through, because going through it myself and coming out of it, I look back on it with sadness, and I wish that I hadn't gone through it, because it took away some of my joy of being a new mom. But it's your body, it's your hormones, it's your mind. There's not a lot you can do. I mean, you can go in, you can get help, you can talk to a therapist, and you can take medication, but I was able to get through it without all of that. But I almost did ask for help, and I think that anybody that does go through it that needs help should ask for help. But anyway, that was so incredibly sad to me and hit home to me as a mom. Apparently, around this time, there was this guy named Sam Lutfi that came in her life, and he apparently was a bad influence, and everybody was trying to get him out of her life. She became a punchline on game shows and late night television about her as a mother and her marriage. Around this time, this was 2008, that's when her father, Jamie, became her conservator of her person and her estate. Apparently, conservatorship usually happens with people who are mentally ill and the elderly. So, I think people speculate that she was mentally ill by her actions publicly, and after this conservatorship started, or after they initiated it, they got a restraining order against the Lutfi guy, and they talked to one of the lawyers that actually worked for her dad, who couldn't say a lot, kind of just dealt in hypotheticals, and talked to a lawyer that Britney wanted to get to represent her, but the judge said that he couldn't represent her, and they wound up picking somebody else for Britney, which is kind of interesting. And then in that same year, the conservatorship was made permanent. So we see that it's lasted all these years. And the first year of her conservatorship, she let MTV do a documentary. And I didn't see it because it was kind of around this time, well, I had already I'd obviously been reading headlines about her, but I wasn't really closely following her. So I wouldn't have seen this documentary, but they showed clips in the Framing Britney Spears documentary of the MTV documentary, and it just shows her going about her business, but her dad kind of around and just keeping an eye on things. And you could tell in the documentary that she wasn't really happy about all of it. One of the facts that they uncovered is that Jamie gets 1.5% of the gross revenue of her Las Vegas residency. And there is actually now a podcast that dissects Britney Spears' Instagram, which, as I said before, her Instagram is insane. People think that she's giving out coded messages. She wears the same peasant tops and like tiny shorts that she puts her thumbs in to like bring down a little bit to like show more of her area, her stomach and all that. She always looks like she's got like day old, mascara that she slept in, and her hair, it looks like she has badly done extensions. She always looks pretty disheveled, and her captions on her Instagram videos and pictures are very immature sounding, and when she does videos, she's like shows herself dancing in the same spot and twirling around in the same kind of clothes that are not really flattering. And the comments, like she'll post these videos, like she talks, the way that she sounds childlike, but also like a kid that has a stuffed up nose. And she'll post videos like, I'm answering the questions that you've asked. What's my favorite color? What's my favorite snack? And it's like literally nobody's asking those questions. And in the comment section, people are like, these are not the questions we're asking. We're literally asking, are you okay? And it was funny, but it's kind of sad, but still kind of funny at the same time. Because like I said, I don't really become super invested in celebrities' lives. And so I just kind of watch certain things, and I mean, you hate to say it, it makes you sound like such a crappy person, but like when someone's life is a train wreck, you can't help but look. And it is kind of sad to find amusement and stuff like that. But when you put yourself out there, obviously I'm putting myself out on the internet and posting videos, and I've had people say rude things about me, and they'll continue to do it. And if I didn't want to risk that and deal with that, then I wouldn't put myself out there. So you kind of invite a little bit of that onto yourself, right or wrong. There was apparently a petition from one of the co-conservators to get a raise, and they were trying to make the conservatorship into a business deal, which someone noted was weird because a conservatorship is about her well-being and it's not about making money. And then she was supposed to do another Vegas residency, but she abruptly canceled it. And then her co-conservator who wanted a raise quits. Shortly after that, she checks into a mental health facility. This was in 2019, so very, very recently. And this podcast got an anonymous paralegal call saying that she had entered that mental health facility, not on her own free will. So after this, the hashtag Free Britney movement starts, and but her dad says that this is all a conspiracy theory, it's completely unfounded. Also in 2019, Kevin Federline put a restraining order against Jamie for having a physical altercation with one of his kids. How old are her kids now? So I think they're roughly a year apart. If she had her second one in 2008 when all this started, the second boy would be 12 going 13. So gosh, the older one would probably be like 13, 14. Wow. I haven't seen any updated picture or video of her kids. I mean, I'm picturing much younger kids and they've grown up, and I don't know what they look like now. So after this, Jamie steps down as the conservator of her person, but he's kept on as a conservator of her estate. Her mom, at this point, we hear in the documentary, wants to step in to help make medical decisions, and Britney steps up and asks for her dad to be replaced as conservator of her estate with a bank or other third party. And in a court document, which I found was pretty interesting, Britney makes note that she supports this Free Britney movement. So it kind of further adds fuel to the fact that it's not a conspiracy theory, which all of this was news to me because I'm just used to, I don't know. it's weird. You know, sometimes there are crazy conspiracy theories out there that have no merit, and then other times they are based off of something. So it appears that if Britney supports this, there is something more going on, and it will be interesting to hear in the future what was really going on when the conservatorship ends, maybe when she starts talking and kind of regains control of her life. That'll be very interesting to see how things change and what ultimately comes out about what really was going on, because it definitely seems that things have been very secretive and kept away from the public eye, even though she's still a public person, and there have been a lot of things that were weird, but no one's really addressed them. And then after this documentary came out, she has a boyfriend who I think was a model or something. I don't know a lot about him, but he's been on her Instagram, and he even said, you know, he was glad that the documentary came out, because while they're private about their personal life, he does want to say that he does not like Britney's dad, and is supportive of the documentary. But the judge ultimately decided to keep Jamie as conservative of her estate, but he did add a bank as well. And then at one point closer to the end of the documentary, they call her a high-functioning conservator, which I guess kind of goes back to what I was saying before, that people were really confused that somebody like her is in a conservatorship based off of all the things that she's done since the conservatorship started and the fact that it's gone on for so long. She had a Vegas residency. She goes about being a celebrity and has, you know, various deals or whatever going on in her career. She's working. She's able to do that. So you would think if you're able to do that, then what's going on and why is this conservatorship still going on? So there's lots and lots of questions. I think that's pretty much all that I had on that. I know that everybody has pretty much watched this already, and if they were going to make a video, have made videos, and I'm literally the last person to do anything, but I think that as my kid gets older, I will be able to do more and upload in a timely fashion. I'm doing my best. I think it's better to do some than not at all. And I did watch these things, and I did take the notes, and I did do the work to try and put together a video, so better late than never, I guess. If you like the video, leave a like, subscribe, comment, and let me know if you watched the documentary, and what are your thoughts on the conservatorship? What do you think is really going on with Britney? Turn on notifications if you want to see future videos, and I'm actually sitting here trying to record as many videos as I can because I don't know when's the next time I'm going to be able to get the time or the motivation to do this. But I do enjoy doing it, even though maybe I'm low energy right now because it's like 10:30 at night. But anyway, if you've watched this video, I appreciate you watching. The next one that I'm going to do is going to be probably The Night Stalker. That was another documentary on Netflix that I watched. I think that The Framing Britney was on Hulu though. So I'm going to do a video on the Netflix. What was it called? Night Stalker, The Hunt for a Serial Killer. So if you want to watch that, stay tuned, it's coming up.